Hey guys. This is the heartbreaking story about Liam, a 13-year-old boy who got kidnapped. If you enjoy, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It was the first real day of spring in Pine Hollow, Oregon, one of those deceptively warm afternoons where the chill still clings to the shade. 13-year-old Liam Barrett had just finished his paper route and was pedaling his bike down Juniper Lane, his earbuds in, backpack bouncing with each crank of the pedals. He should have been home by 4:30. By 5:10, his mother, Dana, was pacing by the window. "He's never late," she muttered, dialing his phone for the 5th time. It went straight to voicemail. Again, by 6 p.m., she called the sheriff's office. "My son, he's missing. I think something's wrong." His bike route ends at 4 o'clock. Deputy Corbin Jenkins arrived within 20 minutes. A veteran of Pine Hollow's small police force, he had the steady gait of someone used to quiet cases, missing pets, drunk disturbances, and occasional domestic. "How long's he been gone, ma'am?" "Over 2 hours, Dana said." Her voice quivered. "He always calls." Corbin opened his notebook. "And his route?" She handed him the map she kept laminated. Liam took pride in his precision, circling each street after delivery. "Juniper Lane's his last stop." Corbin drove the route slowly. At 7:11 p.m., a neighbor spotted the boy's abandoned Schwinn behind a mailbox near the wooded path leading to the old quarry trail, a place local kids dared each other to explore but rarely did. Corbin's flashlight beam flickered across tire marks on the dirt path. "Not bike tires. These are from a vehicle, SUV maybe. Recent too," he called it in. The woods became cordoned off. K9 units were dispatched. Forensics flagged scuff marks, drag patterns, and, near the tree line, something that caught the light, a torn earbud wire, frayed and clinging to a branch. Corbin knelt and bagged it. "No blood," he murmured, but his gut twisted. But he didn't walk away from here. At 10:43 p.m., search and rescue found no trace of Liam in the surrounding woods. The Barrett's home became a staging ground. Posters were printed. The town held its breath, but someone in Pine Hollow had been watching Liam. 4 weeks. And now, they had him. The following morning, the Barrett house was swarming with investigators and volunteers. Pine Hollow hadn't seen a missing child case in nearly 18 years. Dana clutched a mug of untouched coffee, her fingers trembling. Detective Erin Salgado from the Oregon State Police arrived by 8 a.m. She was sharp-eyed and quiet, the kind who read silence better than speech. She examined the Schwinn, still propped near the mailbox, its front wheel spinning lazily in the wind. "No sign of a struggle?" she asked Deputy Jenkins. "Not here. But the woods, drag marks, broken brush, tire impressions leading out." "SUV or van?" "Rear-wheel drive." She nodded. "Any security cams nearby?" "There's one at Maples Grocery, 3 blocks east. Faces westbound traffic." By 10:15 a.m., Aaron and a tech analyst, Simon, were reviewing grainy footage from the store's CCTV system. At exactly 4:22 p.m., Liam's figure zipped by on his bike. 3 minutes later, a white Ford Econoline van passed the same intersection. No plates visible, but the side panel bore a faded shape where a logo once was. "A ghostly outline, an oval or maybe a paw print, enhance that," Aaron said, pointing. The image stabilized slightly. "A black dog decal. Retriever silhouette. Could be a grooming service or kennel van, back in the woods." Forensics flagged something else, fibers caught on the bark of a broken branch. Tan-colored. Synthetic. From a van's interior upholstery, as the sun set again over Pine Hollow, Dana sat in Liam's room, clutching his hoodie. "Come home," she whispered, breathing in the scent of her boy. The air was still, the house too quiet, and Liam? He was waking up in darkness. Liam's eyes adjusted slowly. The air was damp, metallic. He was lying on a mattress covered in a thin blue tarp. Zip ties bound his wrists. His mouth was taped. Somewhere above, a TV played faintly, an old cartoon. The volume crackled. He tried to scream, but the sound barely made it past the gag. A camera lens blinked red in the ceiling corner. Footsteps. Then, a voice. Calm. Male, you're safe, Liam. Don't panic. I just need your help with something. He didn't recognize the man. Mid-40s maybe. Wore a navy windbreaker, surgical gloves, and spoke in a strangely practiced way, like he'd rehearsed this. You like computers, don't you? Coding? That game, what's it called? Circuit breaker? I saw your Reddit posts. Liam's heart raced. How did he know that? I'm not here to hurt you. I'm just borrowing your mind for a little while. Click. The man turned on a floodlight. On the wall opposite the mattress, a workstation glowed, 3 monitors, a Raspberry Pi setup, a file tree with folders labeled, bank_data, router_logs, camera_hacks. The man removed the gag. You help me with something small, and you go home. Deal? Liam stayed silent, staring at the keyboard, at the wires running across the floor like veins. He didn't say it out loud, but the thought was clear. This wasn't about money, this was about control. At the precinct, Erin pored over the Econoline lead. She brought in local businesses with similar vans, pet groomers, landscapers, pest control. One matched the decal outline, a defunct mobile dog grooming service called Positive Touch, closed since 2021. Van never sold. Owner? A man named Howard Howie Clemmer. No priors, lived 12 miles out of town. Erin and Corbin drove out mid-morning. The house was tidy, fenced, a single security cam on the porch. No van in the driveway. Howie Clemmer? Erin asked when the door opened. The man blinked. Heavy-set, gray-stubbled, in worn pajamas. He died, he said. I'm his brother, Pete. Mind if we talk inside? As they entered, Erin noticed the distinct lack of furniture in the garage. Recent tire tracks. A faint smell of bleach. Her stomach turned. Back at HQ, they ran Pete Clemmer's phone. Subpoenaed tower pings from the day of Liam's disappearance. Bingo, Simon said. His phone pinged just outside Juniper Lane at 4:20 p.m. Then off the grid for 4 hours. Erin leaned forward. Get a warrant. Meanwhile, in the basement, Liam was planning. The man, Pete, he now knew, left for brief windows. During one, Liam eyed the plug on the back of the Wi-Fi router. If he could just yank it, but he'd need time. Minutes, maybe seconds, he started watching the pattern of footsteps. The way Pete muttered when he walked. And he memorized the route from his mattress to the far wall, 12 steps exactly. Soon, he'd risk everything. Detective Salgado stared at the crime board in the incident room, a web of red yarn, timelines, maps, and van sightings. But her gut told her it wasn't just a spontaneous abduction. It was methodical. Someone had studied Liam. She called in Dr. Leonard Weiss, a forensic psychologist with a reputation for profiling high-functioning predators. Erin briefed him on Pete Clemmer, mild priors for trespassing, known loner, inherited his brother's house, and vanished from camera view for 4 crucial hours. I think we're looking at a coercive planner, Weiss said, tapping the map. This wasn't impulse. He likely scoped Liam's habits for weeks. That kind of routine obsession suggests fixation. Possibly delusional motivation. The computer angle adds another layer. He wanted Liam for his skills, Erin said, or the illusion of control. These guys often have a god complex. They find a gifted child, isolate them, and make them perform. Power through forced dependency. Meanwhile, a forensic team returned from Clemmer's garage. They found a small scrap of blue plastic, tarp material, and a zip tie fragment in the trash. Under UV, specks of blood, type O, matching Liam's. We got him, Corbin said. He screwed up. But Pete Clemmer hadn't run. He was still home when the warrant came through. Erin knocked on the door again at 6:17 p.m. This time, she wasn't asking. Liam had memorized every second of Pete's routine. Breakfast came at 8 o'clock. Then Pete disappeared upstairs for exactly 32 minutes. That was Liam's window. He waited. Counted. When the footsteps faded, he squirmed to his feet, his wrists red from zip ties. He stumbled across the room, 12 steps, and pulled at the power strip. Sparks flew. The lights blinked. For 5 seconds, the camera went dead. He turned to the desk and shoved open a drawer. Inside, USB drives, a burner phone, a post-it with a code, #LX93.townet/run. He snapped a photo with the phone, then hid it behind the mattress. The power returned. The camera light blinked red again. Pete returned moments later. Did you move? Liam shook his head, trembling. Pete walked slowly around him. You're smart, Liam. But don't outsmart yourself. He knelt down. You know, the world up there's a mess. No one listens to kids like you. You're not property. You're potential. I see that. Liam didn't reply. But in his mind, he repeated the code. Over and over, #LX93.townet/run, it meant something. Erin and her team descended on Pete Clemmer's house with gloves, bags, and a tech specialist. Pete was calm. Too calm. Where's Liam Barrett? She asked. I don't know any Liam, he replied, eyes flat. In the basement, they found nothing, just an old treadmill, storage boxes, and a dehumidifier humming in the corner, but Erin didn't buy it. She stood in the center and whispered, this room feels too clean. The tech team scanned the walls. A hollow sound behind the west wall. When they pulled back a shelf, it revealed a steel door, locked electronically. Reinforced, get it open. Inside, tarp fragments, zip ties, a mattress, and most importantly, one tiny surveillance camera. Blinking red. The room had been wiped down, but luminol revealed faint shoe prints. Child-sized, Liam was here, Erin said. On the computer upstairs, Simon recovered partial logs. One folder encrypted. But another yielded a clue, Townet VPN routes, layered over dark web nodes. They were using decentralized routing, nearly impossible to trace. Simon squinted at a paused upload, #LX93.townet/run, this was Liam, he said. He left us a breadcrumb. And Erin knew, wherever Liam was now, he hadn't given up. Pete paced the basement like a lion in a cage. Liam had barely touched the meal tray he'd been given, macaroni from a can and half a banana. You're off today, Pete said. That worries me. Liam sat still, hands resting in his lap. He'd hidden the burner phone behind a panel in the wall. He'd memorized the code and knew what it was, a command to run a script on the dark web via a VPN tunnel. But it was useless without power or access. Then, around 3 p.m., something changed. A storm rolled in, Oregon skies turned pewter gray, thunder low in the distance. Pete swore under his breath and went upstairs. The power flickered once. Twice, Liam saw his chance. He rolled off the mattress, rushed to the router, and pulled the Ethernet cable. He plugged it into the burner phone's tiny OTG adapter and ran the Townet app. Fingers trembling, he typed in, #LX93.townet/run, the phone buzzed. A status bar crawled forward. He watched it hit 70%. 81%, Liam. Pete's voice, suddenly close, he stuffed the phone under the mattress and scrambled back just as the door slammed open. Pete barreled in, eyes wild, you touched something. Liam didn't deny it. Pete stormed to the computer desk, his eyes scanning the logs. You tried to signal. Liam expected a slap. But Pete only stared, breathing hard. You just shortened your stay, he said quietly, and locked the door behind him. At the forensics lab, Simon saw the activity first. We've got movement on the Townet key, he told Erin. Someone accessed the dark net via a backdoor script we isolated. And it's got Liam's code fingerprint. Erin moved closer. Where's it coming from? Tricky. The network's masked, but it's piggybacking on a known IoT exploit, smart routers. We triangulated the handshake pattern. Narrowing it now. After 45 minutes, the location locked. Ping hit outside of Sheridan, Oregon. Farm country. Single building, minimal internet traffic. Could be an old relay site or converted shed. Erin grabbed her jacket. Get SWAT. Quietly. Meanwhile, Pete was packing. He didn't speak to Liam. Just loaded duffel bags with wires, drives, and 3 burner phones. He returned to the basement briefly, turned off the lights, and stared down at the boy. You're gifted, he whispered. But ungrateful. He walked away. The sound of something heavy dragging across the floor above made Liam's stomach lurch. Was it a tarp? A trunk? He needed to move now, or he wouldn't move again. Rain poured over the Sheridan countryside as the convoy of unmarked police SUVs turned off the main road and rolled quietly toward an old transmission station surrounded by tall pines and rusted fence wire. SWAT took position. Erin signaled forward, thermal scan? 2 heat signatures. 1 seated. 1 moving. Basement level, by the look of it. Breach in 3. Inside, Liam heard it, a strange rhythm. Not footsteps. Gear. Radio clicks. He looked up and whispered, please be real. Then, boom. The door upstairs shattered inward. Shouting. Boots. Dogs barking. Pete screamed. Liam backed into a corner as light flooded the basement. Gun barrels appeared through the open frame. Hands. Show us your hands. Don't shoot. Liam cried. I'm Liam Barrett. 2 officers rushed in. 1 cut the ties. Another wrapped a blanket around him. You're safe, 1 said, breathless. You're safe now. As they led him out into the wet grass, Liam blinked at the light. He saw the officers dragging Pete out in cuffs, face down in the mud, howling. Erin ran over. Liam? She asked gently. He nodded. I left a code, he whispered. We got it, she said. You saved yourself. Liam spent his first night of freedom in a sterile hospital room under constant watch. Doctors examined him, mild dehydration, rope burns on his wrists, 2 fractured toes, likely from struggling in the dark. A psychologist, Dr. Lydia Chen, spoke softly to him while nurses checked vitals. He said I was smart, Liam muttered, eyes fixed on the ceiling. He watched my online accounts. I posted code. I didn't think anyone cared. You were groomed, Dr. Chen said. He made you feel seen so he could control you. That's not your fault. But Liam didn't believe that. Not fully. Meanwhile, forensic investigators turned Pete Clemmer's house inside out. They found drives hidden in the HVAC ductwork. 1 labeled school_CAM_feeds. Another, project_Omega. Erin winced as she flipped through images. Each folder was a catalog, names, faces, routines, schedules. Children from different counties. Some never reported missing. Some never abducted. Yet, this wasn't just a one-time act, Erin said. He was building something. The USB Liam used contained a rudimentary AI scraper, code he'd written to parse metadata from unsecured school apps and public social platforms. Pete had modified it. Weaponized it. He used me to hunt other kids, Liam whispered when told. He didn't just take me. He made me help him. Dana, standing at her son's bedside, gripped his hand. You didn't know. You didn't know. But Liam had seen the lines of code. Recognized his signature. The guilt twisted inside him like a wire pulled tight. I want to testify, he said suddenly. He doesn't get to talk for me. Not in court. Dr. Chen blinked. That's incredibly brave, Liam. But we'll take it one day at a time. Pete Clemmer said nothing after his arrest. Not during transport, not during booking, not during his psychiatric evaluation. His lawyer, a public defender named Andrew Rusk, tried to convince the judge he was unfit to stand trial. Delusional. Psychotic episodes. Fantasies of digital purity, Rusk argued, but the court-appointed psychiatrist disagreed. He's not psychotic. He's narcissistic. He planned everything in lucid detail. The DA's office prepared charges: kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, sexual abuse. Though unconfirmed, the possibility was not dismissed: digital exploitation of minors, and conspiracy to commit further felonies. Over a dozen digital victims had been mapped in his recovered files. Meanwhile, Aaron worked with Simon to reconstruct the data flow. Pete had used decentralized routing to bounce signal through abandoned nodes in Kazakhstan, Taiwan, and Ukraine. Clearly skilled in cybersecurity, this guy could have been working for a defense contractor, Simon muttered. Instead, he stalked kids. In court filings, the prosecution cited Liam's script as the key to tracing Pete's active operations. But for the victim's clever use of embedded code and concealed transmission, the suspect may have continued his predatory efforts undetected. Dana sat through every hearing. Liam was granted a private viewing room with Dr. Chen for emotional safety, but asked to attend at least once. He watched Pete from behind a one-way mirror. The man sat still, hands folded, calm. Liam leaned toward the glass. "He thought he owned me," he said. "He didn't." On the day Liam testified, the courtroom was packed. Press sat in the gallery. Victims' advocates waited silently with notepads. Pete wore a gray suit and didn't blink as Liam entered. He took the stand with a single visible tremor in his left hand. Dana sat in the front row, lips pressed thin. Dr. Chen stood quietly off to the side, her presence a silent anchor. "Please state your name," said ADA Rachel Ng. "Liam Christopher Barrett." "You understand why you're here today?" "Yes." His voice was steady. "To say what happened." Over the next 40 minutes, Liam described everything: how he was abducted, what the basement was like, how Pete manipulated him with praise and fear. He didn't cry, but his voice broke when he said, "He made me use my code to help him track other kids. I didn't know until I saw the folders." He looked straight at Pete then. "You told me I was special. You just wanted to use me." Pete didn't move. Ng guided Liam through the Townet code, and the court's forensic tech confirmed its function. The jury, mostly middle-aged and unfamiliar with dark web protocol, listened in silence as terms like network hopping, nonlinear packet tracing, and AI scraping were explained. Liam answered simply when asked. When cross-examination came, Rusk kept it brief. "Liam, would you say you were confused or frightened when writing this code?" "No. I was frightened after. When I realized what it was being used for." "You never intended for this to be used to harm others?" Liam blinked. "No. I wanted to build things." He wanted to break people. Silence hung heavy in the courtroom. As he stepped down, a juror wiped tears from her cheek. The jury deliberated for 11 hours. During that time, Aaron returned to the evidence vault. She watched the surveillance footage retrieved from Pete's hidden drive, not just Liam, but the others. Some faces blurred. Some never identified. Some laughing briefly, unaware they were being recorded. They weren't victims yet. Just profiles in a predator's archive. "It's like he was making a collection," Simon said behind her. But instead of trophies, he wanted patterns. Behavior models. He wanted control, Aaron replied. That's what this was always about. At 3:13 p.m., the court reconvened. "Has the jury reached a verdict?" The foreman stood. "We have, Your Honor." In the gallery, Dana held Liam's hand. His fingers were cold. "On the charge of kidnapping in the first degree, how do you find the defendant?" "Guilty." The word hit the room like a breath being held and released. "On the charge of unlawful imprisonment, guilty." "On the charge of criminal use of a minor's image and identity, guilty." "On the charge of digital exploitation, guilty." Charge after charge. All guilty. Pete's face didn't change. He stood expressionless, even as the judge pronounced the sentence: 327 years with no possibility of parole. "He'll never get out," Aaron whispered to Dana outside the courtroom. "He already took too much," Dana said. "But he didn't take everything." Liam stood beside them, staring at the courthouse steps. Somewhere in his coat pocket, he still carried a folded version of the code he'd written to survive. 6 months later, Liam sat in front of a crowd of high schoolers at a cybercrime symposium. He wore a dark blue sweater, sleeves rolled past the scars on his wrists. His voice was steady. "My name is Liam Barrett. I used to write code for fun. Then someone used it to hurt people. I didn't know that could happen, but now I do." The room was silent. "I'm not a hacker. I'm a survivor. And now I write software that protects kids online, stuff that flags patterns predators use." He clicked the remote. Behind him, a screen displayed the new project he co-founded with help from a nonprofit and Simon's mentorship, Echolite, a digital safety tool for schools and families. Dana watched from the second row. Dr. Chen sat beside her, proud. Liam continued, "You don't have to be broken to be targeted. You just have to be visible. But if we share what we learn, if we speak up when something feels off, we can stop them before they start." The applause was soft at first, then stronger. Later, Erin caught him near the exit. "You're not just a survivor, Liam," she said. "You changed how we investigate this kind of crime." He shrugged, awkward. "I just wanted to escape." "You did more than that." As Liam walked outside into the spring sunlight, the wind carried the scent of pine. Not fear. Not memory. Just pine, and for the first time in a long time, he breathed deep. He was free.